Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk about Apple. I'm going to break down the levels. Just looking at this overall chart, we're going to look at the 1 year chart real quick. Apple went from 123 all the way up to $200 a share. Just from that alone, we had a move of 60%. So 60% in 1 year, that's huge. But now we're starting to get the pullback. And where do we buy is the question. So we went from 200 all the way down about 11%. There's been no pullback this great on Apple. And just look at the RSI. We went from, I'm going to zoom in here. We went from an RSI of 200 all the way down. When this was 200, RSI was above 70. Now we sold all the way down. RSI is less than 30. Now, if we don't get a move, I'm going to be very surprised if we don't get at least a short-term pull just to retrace back to resistance at 186. The reason I'm saying we're getting 186 here is because look at this level right here, which I'm going to draw on the horizontal line. We had to move right here at 186.5 where Apple was resisting in this area. Let me zoom in so you can see it right here. It resisted and failed. 186, back down to 182, then retested, stayed on the line, then went back up to 200. And then look where it went through. Broke through the 186, sold off another 10 points almost. We're at a low, the 177.5. And now I believe it's either going to come back down all the way from here, 186, come down to this 170 would be the absolute low, which is still another 177 down to 170, another 3 to 4% retracement. And then I believe we are going to get our push back up if we have to wait till 170 to get that retracement. So this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at these levels. That was the 1 year. Now we are looking at the, let's go to the 3 month. Looking at the 3 month, we have this support level that is very clear right here, because you can see that Apple had resistance at the 170, broke through, used it as support, support again at 170. And now it hasn't had to retest this until now because we have this nice retracement coming back. Looking at that 200, back down to the 177. If it were to retrace all the way back down to the 170 range, that would be a 14% retracement. So now let's take a quick look. Looking at the chart, we see a few bear flags, I'm sorry. A few bear flags forming. So let's look at the 1 month just so you can see what I'm seeing. Going on the 3 month, zooming in. Here was your first indication. You had this big sell-off here, 196 down to 184. There is your first bear flag coming through. Then what do we have again? We have the sell-off, and then you can see it right here. Bear flag right here forming. And then it sold off again. But now we're starting to get buyers coming. You can see the volume coming in right here. And this bar, and this bar, RSI is starting to finally improve, being at a low of 11. So now we're starting to move back up. So I could foresee tomorrow, if we can get a move back of Apple just holding 182, we can get a move back up to 185 this week, especially with CPI coming on Thursday. So it's definitely just something to keep an eye on. Apple is something that I'm heavily watching right now because whenever Apple moves, Apple is like the best stock to trade. Anytime that Apple pulls back, I'm always looking to buy the dips, but you just want to be careful and patient and you want to wait. And, for those of the people that bought at these support levels up here, because you had it right here, and now at this point, 186, they're just bag holding almost 10 points down. So if you're in the 180 range, I feel like you're okay. I think we're going to get a bounce here. But nobody can make these predictions. But looking at just the max chart on Apple, all it does is go up. So over time, you just want to kind of buy the dips and then go with it. But just looking at the 1 year chart, it is sold off so aggressively from 200 all the way down to 177. this is definitely an opportunity to start dollar cost averaging in. Now, I'm not saying put your whole investment in, but I do believe we're going to get a short-term bounce here. I think the lowest we see Apple is going to 170, and then we're going to bounce from here. I'm not saying we're going all the way back to 200, but just to retest that 186, a 187 range. And that'd be a 9% move just from 170 up to 187. But as you can see, selling volume from this candle to this one has slowly decreasing. So we'll see if we get more selling pressure all up until CPI on Thursday. But this is definitely something I'm keeping an eye on. Apple is finding support at this 177 range, consolidating to this 179. And just in 5 days, just put that into perspective. In 5 days, we go from 197 all the way down to 177. And let me just see, it wasn't showing me what the percentage was, that percentage move. That percentage move alone is a 10% move down to the downside. So Apple pulling back 10% in 5 days, I'm definitely going to be a buyer. I want to see if we can get a bounce on this move. And all it takes is a strong catalyst like CPI, and Apple could move 5 to 10 points in one day. So that's all I wanted to show you. Just something that I'm looking at, levels I'm looking at. If we don't go up, and this is just another bear flag forming, so like you could see it here actually. Let me get rid of this line so it's more clear. If this potentially turns into another bear flag, so we got right here, and let's say the bottom of this, if it breaks this 177, these bars here breaks the 177, and then you're going to head on down to the next support level, which is 170. So that is what you're looking for. We need to see, is 177 going to break? If 177 breaks, this bear flag right here is going to sell off into the 170 range, where I would assume we would get a bounce from 170 back up. But that's what I'm looking for. Whenever Apple's low, it's always definitely something that I'm interested in trading.